I am delighted to be speaking with a man who's played on thousands of albums, many of which you have probably listened to in the last week. He sold countless millions of albums. He's widely regarded as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. To many, maybe the greatest guitarist of all time. Whatever it is, Steve Lukather, welcome to Sidewalks Entertainment. How is it going there today, Luke? And part B to that, am I allowed to call you Luke?
Yes, of course. My friends, come on. I'm doing well. I mean, as well as I can be locked up in my house, but the lock has come undone and we're able to go out a little bit now and see people and go out for dinner. And I'm praying to God that these shows that are opening up go well. You know what I mean? That this virus can be contained enough to where people can go out and enjoy themselves and I can do what I do for a living. You know, it's not just about the money, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this job, this calling, whatever it is, not a job. You have a job and you hate your job. It's all I know how to do, and to have it just go smack into a brick wall when things were going so well was really, unfortunately, it hit the brick wall at the same time the band sort of fell apart due to internal issues and legalities. But now we've come out of the dust and we're coming back, and that was the point of putting out this live stream. It wasn't like, oh yeah, Toto needs to put out another live record with Roseanne on it. You know what I mean? This was to prove, put together a new band in 10 days and see if we could pull it off. And it was something because we wanted to play, and we knew that Joe and I wanted to work together. And with the two solo albums, with David, me, and Joe working on each other's records, I mean, that's as arguably close to a Toto record as we're ever going to get. We're working on Dave's new EP now, so between the three of us, I mean, there it is. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it could never be.
Right.
So we're having fun. We still love working together. We still love creating and doing what we do in our own way.
Yes, I do have plenty of questions about With a Little Help from My Friends, which is out today, if I'm correct about that.
It is, man.
It is an excellent sounding record, and I appreciate the track listing, to say the least, because it's a mix of the classics and the deep cuts, per se.
Yeah, but we tried to do that.
You didn't just make it greatest hits live like a lot of other bands kind of would.
Well, we've kind of done that to the point where it's like redundant. You know what I mean? I mean, every time you do a tour, you put out a DVD. It's like, it's almost like par for the course for everybody at this point,
Well, calling back to me referring to you as Luke, I'm curious, in your household, when there's a family gathering, if someone says Luke, do 10 people turn around, or is it established you are Luke and that's
No, I became Luke because 10 people turned around when you said Steve. There was too many Steves, and I became Luke by default, and it just became easier. And now it's just, it's weird when people call me Steve, except for my girlfriend and my mom, who's not with us anymore, bless her. She would call me Steven because that was my given name with a V, not PH. But so few people that Luke, it's been Luke for 45 years, longer, since high school. Jeez.
Kind of like Ozzy. Word is that if you call Ozzy Osbourne John, he doesn't even look.
Right. I mean, I would look if somebody said Steve, because a lot of people that don't know me just call me that. But most people call me Luke. It's common knowledge. I mean, I don't mind. It's what I am.
Well, one of the commendable things from my perspective about your career isn't just the great music, it isn't just the commercial success, the critical acclaim. It's the fact that you've kind of become this peacemaker, that you see any band that has the 2 or 3 feuding factions, and you seem to be cool with both of them. For example, you're still friends with Sammy Hagar. You were always friends with Eddie.
Yeah.
There's so many bands.
Well, Ed now are brothers. I'm friendly with Sam. We don't hang out all the time. I like the guy. I mean, he's never done anything to me. I like Mike too. Mike Anthony's a great guy. I don't get involved in other people's band business, man. I got my own band with its own band problems, I'm Switzerland. I'm not a peacemaker. I'm just like, Sammy called me to be on the show. I did the show, I mean, it was fun. It was nice of him to do that for me. I really appreciate that. It came out of nowhere. Obviously Jason Bonham and I are dear friends, and he plays with Sammy, and everybody knows everybody. I try to stay out of everybody's shit, man. You know what I mean? But my loyalty obviously would be to Ed now. The loss of Ed has just destroyed me. I mean, it's just gutted. This wasn't supposed to happen like this.
to
I've
say
lost
the
so
least.
many friends in the last few years. It's insane. Lost our tour manager, 25 years. He went in for a hernia and found out he had stage 4 cancer and died 2 weeks later.
Wow.
This is the kind of shit you just can't plan for. Martin Cole, man, one of the greatest human beings of all time. We did some of the most insane things together. God bless his soul. You know,
I had the pleasure of emailing with Martin because he got me onto a guest list for a show that you did in Japan in like '06 when I was there.
you know,
And
he's that kind of a guy, man. He was one of the beautiful souls of life. I miss him, and I'm just so sad. You know, there's so many of my best friends that I've lost.
but at the same
Harry, I
time,
keep going to the doctor going, is it going to be me now? He goes, no, man, unfortunately, you're going to be around for a long time. You seem to be very healthy. Surprised me, too. He's been my doctor for 35 years when I was really crazy. And now I'm, you know, I don't even drink. I haven't had a drink in almost 12 years, you know. So, I mean, I don't do crazy shit anymore.
well, that's another commendable thing about you. You're long.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got off the deep end for a while there, man. I'm very ashamed of that. I'm not proud of it, and I wish I could take it all back. But in life, you fuck up, and if you're famous, you fuck up in public, and everybody beats you to death. So
But
you know, I made a mistake. I've atoned for my sins, and if people want to, thanks to the internet, I can't get away from a bad performance or a bad quote from some dumbass shit I said. You know what I mean?
but the long-term relationships you've held, I was curious if that and the peacemaker tag that I just put on you is rooted in the fact that you started off as a session guy where you had to learn how to roll with the punches, and that at a young age just gave you perspective to not sweat the small stuff.
Well, the other thing is, I don't like to be in a tense room, man. I don't like to have people pissed off at me or I'm pissed off at them. It's just everybody gets mad once in a while. I mean, for whatever reason, and you know, I want to make it right. So if I'm a peacemaker that way, I'll say, look, I fucked up, man. I'm so sorry. Even if was their fault. I just want to keep the peace. Because it's just easier to say I'm sorry than it is to hold a grudge.
Hmm.
A lot of people hold grudges against me for reasons that they don't even understand or that aren't true. And some people have a right to do that. I don't know. I can't think for other people. I can only try to fix myself. And there's lots to fix. Believe me, I got to shrink. I'm trying to work through my issues, you know. I really am.
But no grudges from this end of the Zoom call.
Well, thank you.
It's all positive from
I'm
this
not
part.
carrying around. I'm not carrying around grudges. I've been hurt by people, and I've hurt people
Right.
that I didn't mean to, and or been accused of things I didn't do. And if I did do something, I always apologize or try to make it right. I can admit fault in myself, you know, but it's hard to be accused of things you didn't do, and then even when you're proved innocent, they won't let it go.
Yeah.
So enough of that shit. I don't want to talk negative. I'm trying to talk about we've managed to come back from the dead. Joe and I did these cool solo records that were accepted and really well, great reviews. And I got a couple million streams, and it sold well for today's market, considering I didn't try to write a hit. So, I mean, you know, there's enough of an audience out there that enjoy what we do in Toto and outside of Toto. So when we go on the road, since David Page worked on everything and Joe worked on anything, you should go out, and the promoters and the agents, everybody's like, use the name. Will you please use the name so people know who you are? Yeah, you could be the Dogs of Oz, or you could be Luke and Joe, and it just doesn't have the same boom. I want to go out. You know, we sold out the Zygodome in less than a week, a year in advance, and that's 17,000 hard tickets. We've never done that before. So there's an audience out there. If nobody bought the tickets, nobody was interested, then we'd be done. There's Toto tribute bands. Why shouldn't I be able to do it?
Well, I was admittedly late to the Toto train in that I knew the hits. And then I believe it was the '06 album, Falling in Between,
Yeah.
when I heard the whole thing and I went, wow, they have deep cuts too. And
Yeah.
then I dug and dug and dug and went, wow, this is an unbelievable discography that people have slept on for a long
Because
time.
the people that can't get past Africa or Hold the Line and Roseanne, they don't like that. They're not going to look any further. You know what I mean? Or they hear a ballad and they go, oh, these guys are a pussy ballad band. I don't like that shit. I'm a metal guy. But if you came to our shows and saw the full balance of what we do, you'd see that there's a much bigger picture there than just Africa, which was the weirdest, most oddball song of our entire career.
For
Which
sure.
ended up being the golden carrot. The irony is not lost on me.
But one of the things that drew me into Toto permanently was your stage banter in the show you saw that era. Because here you are live in Japan and you're saying totally sarcastic things that's going over the crowd's head.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think you said, this next song bought me my house in the desert in Arizona. You said,
not Arizona, it would have been La Quinta, but well, I just say things off the top of my head because I'm just an idiot. You know what I mean? You know, I just try to crack the band and crew up. And, you know, and a few people in the audience that understand what I'm saying, you know, but, you know, I say goofy shit, you know.
So after seeing that, I went, oh, there is humor to this band.
Oh, you have no idea the humor. We love the humor. The fact that I was a Family Guy character, a South Park character, Jimmy Fallon and Timberlake made fun of us, or we're a Jeopardy question or something like that, or people make fun of it. You know, I get the joke, man. It's funny shit. I ran into Jimmy Fallon and he's like, I hope you're not mad. I go, mad. It was fucking brilliant. You know, come on, man. This shit's funny.
Agreed.
I mean, you know, yeah, we take our music seriously, but there's shit to laugh at. We look at the clothes and the hair through the years. It's ridiculous. You know, if anybody ever needed a stylist, it was us, and we just didn't care about that because we were musicians. We didn't know that we had to be actors and pretty boys too, because there ain't nobody pretty in my band, you know.
Hey, different strokes for different folks on the
it's, you know, we're just not an image band. Some bands are image bands. We're just not that. I've never been there.
Something that I wasn't able to figure out with Toto is the top-notch musicianship has never been in question, whichever era of Toto you're talking about. But bands that are that naturally that good, some of them sound check, some of them don't. Which one is Toto 2021 like?
Well, we sound check because first off, we do a VIP thing, or we used to do a VIP thing, which included the sound check. But we like to get into a room. Every room sounds different. Now, it's not so much for us as it is for the front of house guy. Now, the front of house has to sound great because that's all what we bring to the party.
Yeah.
No, I don't bring up the bells and whistles and the video screens, and it's all a spectacle, and the music's secondary, you know. You know, there's no dancers and shit. You know, we are what we are, and we don't play the same way every night.
Right.
We do the same songs. I mean, some songs are more arranged than others, but there's always room to improvise and get the band off to create this excitement, and then the audience sees that and feeds off of that. And so if the sound is really important to us, so you have to get into a room and you know, get where the bass booms are and where the, you know, the articulation of each and every room is different. So we want the people that paid the money at least to hear it great. They ain't coming to see how nice my ass looks in the jeans. You know what I mean?
But in the case of sound checks, not throwing him under the bus, but what I've heard is Paul Simon, for example, has an understudy. That guy is the Paul Simon sound check, Paul Simon guy. I didn't know if you're like, you know what, I can make it sound good anywhere I am.
I like to be there. I like to get out of the hotel. I like to feel the room. I want to play. I want to warm up. I want to feel what the room sounds like. I want to warm up my voice, you know, meet people and stuff, you know, and just hang out. You know, I don't want to sit in my hotel room and just, you know, just look at the computer or whatever, you know, counting down the minutes till I get to go. I get excited every day. It's still fun for me.
So the old adage of, I'll do the onstage thing for free, you're paying me to travel.
Yeah. That's really true, man. The 2 hours on stage is bliss. The other 22 hours can be really difficult when you're missing your children, your family, or you're sick, or you're just bummed out, homesick, or whatever. Or there's you know, backstage bullshit, you know, or the stuff people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard stuff to live through.
So going back to all those credits, a lot of other bands have had a similar number of hits to Toto per se, similar number of albums sold, but there was never that second act or that third act where they got covered, where they got sampled, where they got cited.
Oh, we've been sampled to death. We've been sampled to death, you know.
For sure, in a
you
good way. But
it's okay. You know, listen, it's cool. I mean, the rappers dig our stuff. You know, I'm honored by that. You know, I mean, a lot of people, musicians and rappers and R&B people really like our band. You know, and that means a lot to us. You know what I mean? We don't have a specific audience per se. Our audience is vast, and many age groups, young to old. And, fortunately for us, the people that like us have kept us alive during the slow years. They keep coming back. They keep supporting the band. And we love those people that have always been there for us. And love the new kids coming to the party going, wow, they're more than Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Africa, like I said, having a hit record is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing to have one. It's a curse that you have to play it for the rest of your life. And if it gets really big, you go through stages, you love it, you hate it, you love it, you hate it, you love it, you hate it. I would never play it around my house, but it's been great to us. And I love playing it live and love to see the audience get excited about it. And that's what makes it. We're playing for them. We get to sneak enough of our muso shit in the set to get off on. So when it's time to play Hold the Line Africa and all that stuff, you know what I mean? We're doing it with a big smile on our face, especially with the new young cats adding the fire to it. That makes it more fun. It makes it really like, okay, let's go get this,
Yeah. So with all those waves of success, I was wondering when you knew that you were going to be okay, that even if there wasn't a big hit on this next album, that this was going to be a career that you were doing for the rest of your life and you were never going to be working in a supermarket again, anything like that.
Well, I never did. No, I have no plans on the supermarket. I save money. I mean, that's why I'm able to survive during this horrible pandemic shit.
Yeah.
But the motivation isn't money. The motivation is to play music, use the gift that God gave me and get out and see the world and make people happy. That's the idea. I mean, it's a great job when you can make other people forget about their problems. And I get to forget about mine too for a couple hours. So everybody wins. It's a great joy to have such a long career. We never thought, we thought, man, if we got 10 years out of this, like the Beatles, wouldn't that be cool? Because we started in 1977. And we never knew that we'd be doing this stuff, damn near 45 years later. And no matter how many times we've been trying to be killed by the press or by ourselves, we keep, reemerging. And now I'm going to give this one last go. This is the final Toto for me. I mean, I'm 63 years old. I mean, everybody gets along great and it's a wonderful group of guys and we're going to have fun and it's going to be successful because it's already shown the signs of it. I'm going to try my best. If people are turned off by the fact it's not the original Toto, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
How many classic bands have that original lineup left? It's really a handful.
Very few.
It's U2 and
Aerosmith,
Aerosmith, who did lose members for 5-6 years.
Oh, yeah, they came in and out, but the same thing with us. Same things. I mean, Bobby, I have a great relation, not great relation, but I have a good relation with Bobby Kimball, except he's got dementia, and he's hard of hearing. That's why he'd go out and sing out of tune and stuff like that. And somebody should have stopped it, but they didn't. But there's no bad blood between us, regardless of what press says. I mean, yeah. There are things back in the 90s where we went back at each other because he was using the name and all that stuff. But, we get past that stuff. And we made some great music together. And he was an incredible singer. When he was on, it was incredible.
Yeah. So as you called attention to before, you had a solo album. Joe had a solo album. You played on David's solo album. So regardless of the touring, it sounds like you're still picking up the guitar more days of the week than not.
No, I get up at like 5 a.m. and play by 6, having a coffee, playing, just keeping my chops up a little bit. It's not like playing 2 hours a night, 5 days a week, but at least I have some connection to the instrument. Once we get really close to it, I'll really get in the woodshed.
Got it.
But right now I'm just keeping my hands on it. I'm starting to get inspired. I got to do the solo record and that did really well by today's standards and for me in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm writing new music and writing for Ringo and stuff like that, and that's been a gas. And I'm starting to get the juices go, start maybe writing some stuff. I don't know what's going to happen. I just want to go out and play live more than anything in the world. I want to go out and play live.
Somebody who's gear centric like you are, I like to find out this information, or I should say instrumentalist centric like you are, that people think of you as a musician and not just a personality, although you are a personality.
I'll think musician. That's all I ever wanted to be.
Well, giving an example here, when I interviewed Ben Folds is synonymous with piano, even though supposedly he's a better drummer than he is a
I
piano.
didn't know that, but I worked with Ben once on a Ringo thing, and he was really a great guy, man. He's really talented.
Great guy, great musician, great songwriter, still
He
great.
told me a great story that when he was at Berkeley, he had a roommate that was obsessed with me and would only play my music, and it drove me crazy. I said, Ben, I'm sorry. And he goes, no, it's not you, man. He goes, the guy was just a little obsessed. He goes, it's not that the music was bad, it was just driving me crazy. And I said, well, dude, I'm sorry. I do that to people sometimes.
Small world. Well, one thing I found about Ben is that he has pianos in different parts of the country that are his piano. So I randomly asked him something about Kansas City, Missouri, because I was heading there for an assignment. And he said, oh, I have a piano there. It's at Jason Sudeikis' house. Oh, I have a piano there. I have a piano there. Do you have different rigs or different setups or gear things all over the country or world?
No. What's interesting is my guitar tech, Johnny, has all of my gear. Like he has the whole thing, like a copy of it. And so sometimes when I get out to the East Coast, if I can't bring my stuff, I'm doing some like jam band club stuff, which I'm going to do in December. I'll just use his rig, bring my guitar. So because it's more cost effective, when you're doing little jam band things. But no, I only have one live rig, and I have an amp that I practice amp that I have here at the house. And I got millions of amps and guitars, but I don't have it all in my house. It's in storage.
So there's this big document of here's where all my stuff is at.
Oh yeah, I got all the old rack stuff. It's all, I didn't sell any of it. Like the Bradshaw stuff is still great. It's just like, it's just too much to take on the road at this point. Bob made some brilliant stuff. He still does.
Some of these Zoom interviews that you do, as somebody who does interviews 5-6 days a week, you see the background of the guitarist, like you see Tracy Guns's amp rig, and it's like every amp ever. And then other people like, yeah, I just have one acoustic. I have a 1 line 6 practice amp and one of my electric guitars. I got an acoustic guitar. I got a piano in the other room. And this is my studio. If I got a good idea, I hit record, and then I go somebody's house and produce it up. Very interesting there.
If you can't make it swing with a guitar part or a piano part, then there's probably not a lot there. If you're writing a song to the production, then you have a produced song, as opposed to a song that you can just sit and play and it stands by itself.
Right. When did you become digitally accepting in terms of recording and demoing versus having to wait around for the old cassette tape 8-track?
Well, I lived through every era, so exponentially, as it moved forward, the technology was more helpful. Sonically, you can argue about digital and analog. Analog has a sound that you can't. Digital's gotten really good, and I love working in digital in terms of working and being able to recall mixes and have endless tracks and all the positives about it. But to use it as a tool of fakery, that's a whole other thing. A lot of people, it's like painting a big dick on yourself when you don't have one. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, man, you can't do that. You can't do that. Why are you trying to pull that off? But, some people, other people use it brilliantly. They use it as a tool, not as an excuse. You know what I mean? I love there's no rewind time. There's no tones. There's a lot less shit to break. Although in digital world, it could freeze up. And the problem with everybody using digital is everybody uses the same plugins. So everybody's like all the rock records seem to sound exactly the same. Here's the quadruple crunchy guitars and that fucking snare, and then the low kick. And, so production wise and engineer wise, there's a sameness that becomes redundant to me. Like, when I was a kid, you could tell the difference between Led Zeppelin and Jethro Tull. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's not just the songwriting. I'm just talking about the sonics. So for that part, you try to not sound like everybody else is the thing. Because it's the same high-end tools and apps and, downloads, and they use the same reverbs and compressors and the same, I know how to get this guitar sound with this thing. And I use the same thing, and it's just all compressed and loud, and there's no dynamics to it, but people gotten used to that.
Well, I promised I was going to ask you more about the With a Little Help from My Friends album.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's where we are. As time goes on, we learn about more and more of our classic favorite live albums ever were touched up in the studio, if they were even live albums, without naming names.
Some of them, like, weren't live albums at all. I mean, they were just to add, audio, like Three Dog Night Live, and there's a whole bunch of them. The Kiss Live, or some of the Kiss Live records I hear weren't really live. I mean, people could fix shit now. The problem is, like, with Little Help from My Friends, we couldn't, because there were so many open mics that if you tune something to something that's leaking through that's not in tune, it turns into this nightmare chord. I mean, it'd be so obvious that if you go, oh my God, yeah, we put digital effects on it to make it sound doubled and huge and all that stuff, but you can't really fake it that way unless there's isolation between all the microphones, the drum mics and the guitars leaking into everything else. It would create this massive out of tune thing, the whole band. So, I mean, sometimes you want to fix something, and yeah, we have in the past had to fix things that were vocally wrong and stuff like that. And you're going to put out a record that's just horrible, and then you have to live with it for the rest of your life, when you can fix it. But it's harder to fix live records because of all that leakage.
Well, what I was going to get is super proud of this album. Nothing that
I'm proud of it in the sense that we did it in 10 days. We put together a band from scratch in 10 days and we pulled it off. Now that's like the worst the band's ever going to sound. So, like, give me a month on the road and 2 weeks of rehearsals up front and add a whole bunch of new tunes and make the set longer, we're going to do all the hits, new deep cuts, Toto, and then also solo stuff. And the band musicianship is so high level, you're going to see some incredible performances too. So that's what we're bringing to the party. This is a great way to introduce the new band to the people. That's why we put it out.
It is a strong lineup, to say the least. Is it you who says on mic that you want a little more X in my factor, or is that Joseph?
That would be Joe. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know, but the mic picked that up, which is, hearing that's what told me this is a live album. The fact that you left in a joke that's like a little bit of a jab like that right there.
Well, there was a couple of jokes I had to cut out because it offended people. But the live stream, it went out. I just don't want any more lawsuits,
Got it. And three more things I want to ask you about being mindful of your time. The first thing is, you got your autobiography out. Was it about 2 years ago that it came out? 2 to 3?
Yeah, man, time flies.
Were there a lot of leftovers? Because sometimes you hear about the person turns in the 700-page manuscript and the publisher 300.
I had to rewrite it 3 times.
Wow.
It wasn't funny and it didn't sound like me. So I had to put my personality in it. So I really did end up writing the book myself. I had help putting it together at first with Paul Reese. It was great, but I sounded like a proper Englishman, not me. I wanted the warts and the swearing and the humor, to come through. I mean, that's who I really am. I'm not trying to hide myself and slick out myself. And I did bury myself. I did come clean with my own issues, but I didn't want to take anybody else with me. That's not my right to do that. So I tried to stay positive and not shit on people that legitimately should have gotten shit on, but it doesn't behoove me to, to perpetuate any negativity at this point. Nobody wins there. I want to get past it and learn my lesson and try not to repeat it. I was accused of things I didn't do and it hurt me very deeply, and I lost friends over it, and I got to live with that. There's no way to fix it at this point. I don't know how I possibly could. I was cleared, and that doesn't matter. Okay, so how do you live? You got to move on.
I think you have a second book in you based on.
I've been asked, and I do, and I don't want to do it.
Oh, is it like that old?
Because it won't be positive. Why would I want to put out a bunch of shit that's? I mean, if I did a book on just the sessions, or I did something like that specific, that doesn't get into personal shit, then that might be fun to do. But I don't have the time or the desire right now. I've been hit on to do it because the other one was real successful, but I figured I'm not really a writer. I don't want to get into, I got lucky. I mean, that's all I could tell you. And I know that. So one and done is probably a good idea for now. I mean, I may change my mind in 10 years, but right now I don't see it in my future.
The next topic here, after Weezer brought Toto back into the forefront to its younger audience, and that was
Well, actually, the Africa thing had taken off pretty madly before they jumped on the bandwagon, but they had the big hit with it, and they brought us a young audience and a different one.
And Rosanna, they also covered.
Yeah, well, they did the shit as a joke. They never thought it was going to blow up and be there. Now they have to play it forever, so I guess the joke's on them. It did help us, and it certainly helped them.
Well, I remember that Toto, in response, did a cover of Hash Pipe.
Yeah, and Universal bought it and buried it.
Really? I didn't know that part of the
story. They didn't want us to compete, you know?
Well,
but that was rather unfair, but we did a version of Hash Pipe. We played it live a few times, and it was fun. It was okay. The back and forth thing, but Rivers doesn't like me, and that got a little weird. I don't know why. I never even met the cat. But there was some shit going around. I don't want to get into it. No, I don't have no problem with Weezer. They did us. Everybody won. Well, why would I be negative about that?
The positive question I had to tail onto that was if you had a favorite cover or sample that had ever been done of one of the songs that you wrote.
Well, there was a weird one that it wasn't a matter of whether I liked it or not, but it was really successful. I have a song called "I Won't Hold You Back," and this English DJ sampled my voice and put it on a record. It entered the UK charts at #1, and he didn't have a license. So Sony, my publisher for that particular song, went after the cat, and I got all the money. And that was the one that bought me the Desert House.
Yes, you brought it all forward there. And then the last thing that I was curious about is you're one of those people who definitely, there's a lot of untold stories. Definitely there's a lot of work you turned down that we will never find out about, that you knew this person, they asked you to do it, you didn't have the time to do it.
Well, yeah, I was offered positions in Elton John's band, Joni Mitchell's band, Bob Seger, Miles Davis. I couldn't do them for the obvious reasons. I was already in a band and I had commitments, but it was such an honor to be asked.
Well, the one thing that I was curious about, because I mentioned Van Halen at the top, was if you ever had any dealings with David Lee Roth that you almost played on an EP or an album, you almost played in his band, you almost did a guest kind of thing for him?
Well, I don't really know David. I met him a couple of times, but there was talk when his first solo album came out, James Newton Howard was going to be involved as a producer, and he asked me to play on it. So I went to Eddie and I said, is this going to be weird? Because I won't do it, because this was when they had fallen apart the first time. And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, you can do it, but don't play so good. And I laughed, and it just never happened. And I really wasn't the right guy for the job. I mean, now here's the problem with having a Van Halen tribute. Who's going to play the part of Eddie? You think Alex is going to sit there and look at somebody else's ass play his brother's shit wrong? I mean, Wolf certainly has a right to put together something, that he sees fit. And I'm really proud and happy for his success. It's a brilliant record. And I know Ed's beaming from heaven, and I'm really happy for him, I don't hang out with him or nothing like that. And I knew him when he was born, a little kid, but he's a sweet human being. And I just love what he's doing. Well, really talented.
And #1 album on a bunch of charts right now.
That's so beautiful for him, man. I just think that's such a kick. And like I said, I know Ed's looking down, smiling. I talk to Al as much as I can, and he's proud, and he's a dear friend of mine, and I just want to be there for him. It still hurts. It still hurts bad. Everybody.
I can only imagine. For me, it's the music I listen to every single day. For you, it's the actual person. To say
well, yeah, I mean, of course, everybody knows he's one of the greatest to ever pick up the guitar and know him as the artist, but I knew him as the person. 40 plus years. We've been through it all together, the good, bad, and the ugly. And I loved him as a friend and as a person. Of course, I revered his playing and loved Van Halen as a band. They're one of the greatest of all time. Got a chance to play with him a couple of times. It was a great honor for me. And record. I sang backgrounds on a couple of their records and stuff like that. I just happened to be.
You sang backup on? Is that credited in anything?
Not really. No, I sang on Top of the World and some other song. Like during the Sammy era.
Wow. Okay.
No, it's documented. I just did. They didn't say on the record background, but they got thanks to Luke or whatever.
Wow.
I
Okay.
just I just sitting around. Because I pop over often after I pick my kids up from school because it was on the way home and up the hill. It's like I just buzz myself in and show up in the control room. They'd be and like Ted Templeman or somebody go, hey man, we need a third voice. Get out there just to do oohs or something. I didn't do any step outs, and so I just go out there and did it for fun, But so people say, "Do you play on Van Halen?" I go, "Why would I fucking play on a Van Halen record?" I offered a voice, a third part on a ooh background part or something. It wasn't like but it was it's a kick to say that I did.